Hey everyone, it's Orange. Welcome to Path to Decency episode 54. It's been such a long time since I've done a Path to Decency episode. I've been really caught up in doing my other videos. I did quite a few, so here we are though. We have a few summons, 3 Scrolls of Light and Darkness, 3 Mysticals. I did a lot of summons in my Orion exclusive summoning video. I'll link it down below, all of the TOA summons, so I don't have that many even though it's been such a long time because I did that other summoning video. So we'll save those for the end. Timestamp is down below if you just want to watch those. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. I've split this episode into 4 parts. The first one's going to go over Arena and Guild Wars, how I did over the past 3 weeks. It's been a long time since the last episode. Part 2 is going to be going over any building upgrades that I purchased in that time frame. Part 3 is going to go over any new monsters that I summoned, any 6 stars that I made, any skill ups I put on my monsters, and any rune changes too. And then finally, part 4 is a bunch of miscellaneous things, mostly things that have to do with the game, and then I do have some other things that are kind of not so game related, regarding my YouTube channel, and something else with Come to Us that was kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and get into part 1, Arena and Guild Wars. I may have screenshots for all of these things, I don't quite remember, but I'll give you guys the rundown. So 3 weeks ago, we finished Guardian 1 in Guild Wars, and I finished Conqueror 3 in Arena. That was when I was still in Privilege. Right now I'm in a different guild, Sof KingEpic. Both of our guilds are pretty close, so we have some people that were in Sof KingEpic move over to Privilege, and then we had some Privilege people move over here. So these battles are tougher than the ones we have in Privilege because Privilege farms, and in Sof KingEpic we set full defenses. So that Guardian 1 finish was from Privilege 3 weeks ago. Okay, next, the following week, we finished Guardian 2 in Privilege for Guild Wars, and then I finished Guardian 1 in Arena. So one thing to mention, the first Conqueror 3 Arena finish that I mentioned, I switched my mummies to tanky mummies, hoping that they would defend a little bit better against bruiser teams, which is like their number 1 weakness. So, let me catch my breath, all this talking. I did 3 rush hour commentaries for the past 3 weeks. I'm going to link all of them below, and I also made 2 Reddit posts over both of that Guardian 1 finish that I just mentioned in Arena, and then let's fast forward to last weekend. This is the last one we have to go over. We finished Guardian 3 in Guild Wars with Sof KingEpic. We did really well. I'll show you guys the stats right there. And also, in Arena, I finished Guardian 2 for the first time. That was quite a surprise. Both my Guardian 1 finish 2 weeks ago and my Guardian 2 finish last week. I guess it's 2 weeks ago. Sometimes the math is confusing. But my Guardian 1 and Guardian 2 finish were really solid. My Lucians are working really well at this Arena ranking. And the way I have them built, I think, is the best if you want to kill the most teams. Like, I think they're built very well. But if we're talking about moving on further to consistent Guardian 2, consistent Guardian 3, I think they're going to have to be a lot stronger, especially for consistent Guardian 3. So here is last week's Guardian 2 finish. Again, I did the commentary and I did 2 Reddit posts where I pretty much detailed all of the changes I made to my monsters. And then if you guys want to check out those commentaries, I go over why I hit certain teams, I show you how my Lucians work, and yeah, you can see how I do it if you want all of the secret strats. So that pretty much wraps up Arena and Guild Wars since the last episode. Let's move on to part 2. Any new buildings that I purchased. So for Glory Shop, oh gosh, okay, I clicked on the wrong thing. For Glory Shop, I purchased 2 upgrades in the Water Sanctuary. That's the one that I told you guys I was working on. I wasn't sure if I was going to do water or fire. I do have a lot more water attackers than I have fire attackers. So we're almost at level 10 for the water, and I purchased 1 upgrade for the fire building, just kind of randomly. I don't know. I'm like, I guess we'll do a fire one too. So next on the list is the water building. I'm currently at 996 glory points because my camera's kind of cutting it off. So I'll finish that, then do the fire, then light and dark buildings, and then finally this mana building over here. I don't have mana problems, so I'm going to save this one for last. And then scrolls. So that is Glory Shop. Next is Guild Shop purchases. I don't technically remember what these names were, but I purchased one upgrade of the Flag of Will, so this one for defense, one upgrade of the attack building, and that was it. These buildings are getting pretty expensive right now, so I think I've kind of been going back and forth whether I want to go with a crit rate building or if I want to go with, spread it out evenly to go for just stats, and I think going for stats might be the right thing to do, so that's kind of what I've been doing. Okay, that was part 2 for buildings. Next, part 3, any new monsters, 6 stars, skill ups, and runes. So the first thing on the list is the Frost Wind Homunculus. In the last episode, I told you guys that I was still working on farming skill ups, and I think I had yet to purchase the last one. I did that, and I went through with the decision of going with Frostwind. So there's sort of a bit of a debate on it. Frostwind I do think is much safer if you're going for an auto team, and it's very powerful if you're manualing too. I was basically using the Homunculus as a stronger Veramos, because when I use Vero, for the most part, I'm using him on boss floors for CC. In pretty much all of those farmable videos that I've brought to you guys over time with Beretta, Vero, Bella, Mav, Spectra, Vero is just there to provide a lot of CC to stun all of the ads on the boss floors. So I pretty much built him like that, and he worked really well. This month, I'm actually going to talk about TOA hard later, but I'm going to bring you guys, I think, one video with me using him. I actually recorded a video of me beating Artemil with the Water Homunculus, much safer than the Veramos team that I used, and I have that Veramos video on my channel. With a farmable team. And then some people kind of get touchy when I call Mav farmable, but you can farm him with guild points and guild stones or summoning stones from the guild shop. So I think by definition Mav is farmable because you can obtain him that way. Okay, so that was the Homunculus. I also worked on skilling him up because I figure I will most likely be using him as probably either the fire homunculus or water, but I think fire for a cleave team, so I think I'll be using him for a long time, and I think skill ups are worth it. I have since stopped skilling him up. I think I have one Devilmon in storage because I'm not going to use him immediately. I'm okay in TOA hard. I don't plan on using him in TOA hard in the future because I'll probably just be using my Arya team to auto, and yeah. So I'm just kind of holding on to these and waiting until I come up with a new plan to move forward with him. I'm still a bit worried to use Soha or Aquila as a stripper in Arena for a cleave team, so I haven't moved forward with that. My Lucians have been doing fine, so those plans are kind of on hold with the Homunculus right now. Next on the list, the Orion summoning session. I'm going to link it down below, and you guys can pause the video and check that out if you don't want spoilers, but I'm going to spoil what happened in that video. So here we go. I did get Orion on the first summon, and it took me 166 summons, somewhere around there, to finally get him. That's a lot of summons for an Nat 4. I did get kind of unlucky with it, but finally got him, so that's all that matters. Let me find where he is over here with the water monsters. I have since 6-starred him and awakened him, and also skilled him up with Geminis because we had a Gemini Hall of Heroes. So here are the skill ups that happened to him, and 2 in Harmless Prank. I talked about this before, but I think it's best if you're using him on defense to not skill up his Fly, because he might use it more, but you actually want him to be using Harmless Prank, so that's how I have him skilled up, and I'm done with skill ups for him, so that's Orion. Also, since I'm pretty much done with summoning Nat 4s that I want, over pretty much since I started playing, or like shortly after I started playing, I adopted this strategy of buying summoning stones from the guild shop and getting all of the nat 4s that I wanted with them. So I've gotten all the nat 4s I want. There's one more that I might add to the list. Over time, I've kind of name dropped some that might be worth it, like Stella, and then Commune is a big one that's starting to kind of creep up in my mind, because I did join this new guild, Sof KingEpic, or I mean, they're not really new because I've known them for a while and talked with them, but since we have tough guild fights, if I actually want to hold my own in Guild Wars, Commune might be one of those monsters that is very good to have and almost necessary, like Orion. If you look at these defenses, I bet a lot of them have Orion, and I think Commune's gonna be sort of the same thing for me, because he's just so damn good. He has a 24% speed leader, and then the shield is really strong because there's only 3 monsters he has to put it on, if you guys can kind of understand how that thing works. So we have like a lot of Orions and Communes. Commune, I think, is strong, so I might go for one of those eventually, depending on how hardcore I want to continue with Guild Wars, because, you know, I don't have nat 5s, and nat 5s are kind of good in Guild Wars, so Commune, I think, would be a good monster to replace those nat 5s with that I don't have, and even people who have nat 5s might still be using Commune anyways because he's so good. So yeah, I've been thinking about that. I might change my mind in the near future. My current plans are to summon for the Tiana rotation with Kumar and Praha. Oh my god, all 3 of those monsters are so good. So I might summon for that, or I might change my mind and just save stones for Commune. I'm not quite sure. So that is that. Next, in that summoning video, I think I summoned Arena sometime. Either it was in that video or it was a random unknown scroll. And I did put 1 skill up on my Arena, so that one went into her first skill. So we just have 3 more in that one, and 1 in her heal, and then my first Arena will be done. And then I'll probably work on the second Arena just to have her in case people start countering the mummy defense really hard. You know, if the meta changes to start for people to build offenses to deal with that. But the mummies have been doing pretty good, you know, hence my Guardian 1 and Guardian 2 finish. Okay, also, let me jump back real quick and talk about summoning stones. So I was kind of thinking if it would be worth it for me to summon for rotations with 3 good nat 5s. I don't think it's worth it, because if you look at the cost of them compared to a regular summon, or not a regular summon, but a mystical is only 200, and these are all 250 for 1 summon. But for 1 summon with summoning stones, it's gonna be like 420, if I did the math right, 421 maybe, plus some. I don't know the math, whatever. This times 3, and then you're gonna need a little bit more. So I just think that's way too expensive for a summon, even though you're narrowing it down to make sure you have a choice between 3 good nat 5s. What I actually did was, so, you know, like for rotations like this with 3 good nat 5s, I looked at the nat 5s here, and I looked over all of them and asked myself, would I be okay with getting them? So, Vanessa, yes, I would be okay with getting, because oftentimes I'm using Shimate with Lucian, and mainly I use Shimate just for the leader skill, and pretty much nothing else, so I'd be okay with that. Zyros, yes. Perna, yes. Rakan, yes. Juno, yes. Charlotte, yes, I think. Laika, yes. Fire Monkey, he's kind of a maybe yes. Velojul, no, I don't want a duplicate. Kumar, yes. Raki, probably no. So I kind of did this whole thing for all of the elements, and a lot of these monsters were okay to get. I was okay with getting. So, or they were actually good. So I think the summoning stones for nat 5s is probably a bad idea. I also did the math on it before. And even if you're looking for a specific nat 5, like Tiana for example, it's going to take like 3,000 summons to even guarantee a chance at her, I think. I think with 3,000 you might have like an 80% chance of getting her, but you guys know luck. Sometimes you might not land that 80% chance, so I don't think I'll be buying summoning stones for Nat 5s if we're talking about 3 good Nat 5s or a specific one. And I do think if I could ask for one singular Nat 5, I think Tiana would be the one to ask for my current situation. Just kind of a guess, because she would make cleaving so simple. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay, let's continue on. I also 6-starred my Huadam. I've been sitting on him as a 5-star for a while, but I finally did that because of the new guild, and he actually is on my Guild Wars defense, and I'm going to change my Guild Wars defenses pretty soon on free rune removal in 2 weeks, I think. Let me check this calendar. In 1 week, 1.5 weeks, 1 week and 4 days. So here are his current stats. He's just using my Rena's runes, and I think he looks okay like that. I'll show you guys, he's fully skilled, and I'll show you guys the rune sets too. So those are the rune sets, and I'll show you guys my Guild Wars defenses that I'm currently using. So these are the current ones, and later on I will talk about, let's see, actually, let's talk about it right now because it's right after this other thing. So here are my current ones, and then on free rune removal in 1.5 weeks, my guildmates were actually helping me because they're a bit more knowledgeable with Guild War defenses, and they've also taken a look at stronger guilds' defenses, which can give us ideas or me ideas to help me build something that would be good. So the recommendations that they gave me were Theo, Chasun, Huadam for the first defense, and then the second defense, Orion, Veligul, Ritesh, or Vero, Orion, Ritesh. So those were the recommendations. My first defense has been getting some draws, as you can see here. It's pretty much the only one that wins. So I've been kind of thinking about keeping that one there and then just changing the second one. But it might be worth it to experiment with changing them both, because you never know. If I put 2 new defenses in there, maybe they'll both start doing even better than my first defense is doing right now. So yeah, that is kind of a little glimpse of what's happening with my defense, and I think to give you guys like more of an accurate picture, it would probably help to compare to some of my guild members. So I can kind of scroll through some of these if you want to check out. Denbo's defense is pretty similar in quality to mine, but we can see he's doing better than me. So I'm going to scroll through Denbo and then I think FaZe Panda, because they might be kind of similar to me, and we can see how they're doing in comparison. And I think my guild leaders actually track how people are doing, so maybe they can provide me with that information and let me know. Whoa, FaZe is doing really good. Also, Gemini, I think I might build a Gemini soon, because I have no despair monsters that are, for PvP, all of my despair monsters are like Arya and Beretta, so I can build a really nice Gemini for PvP, so I think that might be kind of worth it. So yeah, just some examples of people who are kind of similar to me, but they're doing better, so yeah, I think I have some issues with this, but I'll look at fixing that. Okay, also free rune removal, I don't really know what I'm doing then. I have a vague idea. I'm going to rune up Orion, and I'm probably going to keep my Lucians the same because they've been working out really well. But aside from that, I have yet to work on it. Okay, next I put 1 grindstone on Lucian, and this is the final thing for the 3rd category of new monsters, etc. So in my recent Rush Hour videos, I was talking about how I nerfed my first Lucian, so he's only doing 7,000 damage per card, and the second Lucian is doing 9.2 thousand damage per card, and then since both of my Lucians combined are only doing 48.6 thousand damage, wait, 48, yeah, was that, no, not, yeah, something like that. I'm getting my stuff messed up. So both of them together, they're doing 48,600 damage. Not 48,000.6 or whatever I said. So that's kind of not too high of a number, and I have been struggling against teams with HP leaders in Arena, but last Rush Hour I wasn't struggling against them. I was doing kind of well, and I think if I can increase my second Lucian's damage by a little bit, that can help. So I did go ahead and put a crit damage grindstone on this rune. He previously had an 8% accuracy grindstone, So his accuracy did go down to 6%, from 6 plus 8, 14. I'm bad at basic math, which kind of sucks because sometimes getting the anti-heal thing out on his first skill is good, but I think this was worth it. Okay, so I talked about increasing the damage of my second Lucian, or what I can do is speed both up, but increase their overall damage. Because the issue I'm having is with Nemesis monsters. Right now, no Nemesis monsters cut in, so I really like the way my Lucians are, but their damage is a bit low, but it has to be that way for Nemesis monsters, so I have two choices, either make the second one stronger, or speed both up to outspeed Nemesis, while increasing their overall damage to help me out with those tanky teams, but I think they're doing fine, so that was one little grindstone that I wanted to mention. Now let's go ahead and move on to the fourth part of the video, any miscellaneous stuff. So we had a patch come out and the appraisal stones were introduced. These little things right here, reappraisal stones. I have been crafting 3 per week. As we can see, I've already done the 3. And I think I'm not getting amazing scores in the rifts. I'm getting like A+. So it does take me a little while to farm these, and it takes me a little bit of energy. So I was thinking, are these actually worth it? Because what are the odds that it re-rolls a good rune? I do think it's worth it because if I think about how much energy it takes me to make 3 reappraisal stones, and then I think, what happens if I spend that same energy in dragons? Will I get a good rune? I think the appraisal stones are worth it. So I'm going to be farming 3 of these per week, and I wanted to show off one rune that I reappraised. I think they've only been out for 3 weeks, so I've used a couple to reappraise things. I think I've only used like 2 or 3, and I wanted to show you guys a rune that I reappraised that ended up turning out really good. It's this one right here. All this rune needs is speed, and then it's a pretty damn good rune. So actually, unfortunately though, nothing on it is grindable aside from speed, because you can't grind crit rate, accuracy, or crit damage, but I think that's okay because they each got like a roll into them, which is good. So this rune is a pretty good one, and I'm just saving my other appraisal stones, kind of waiting around. I'm not fully sure how reappraising works, but I've been trying to look it up on Reddit. I think it's just based on how many rolls go into your rune. So when you have a legendary rune, you can roll it 4 times or whatever, and I think that's the best one to do. That's kind of what people have been saying. I'll have to figure it out exactly, because I was asking my guild members, I was like, would it be best just to save your reappraisal stones for quad roll runes and just keep reappraising it until that quad roll turns into speed? And then they said, no, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't preserve the quad roll. It just like redoes it somehow. So yeah, can't use them like that. And some people were giving out reappraisal tips. I think it's kind of debatable whether you want to reappraise 2, 4, 6 or 1 and 3, because on 1 and 3 you can't get flat attack or flat defense, so it narrows down the stats that can show up when you reappraise. So I'm kind of leaning towards reappraising 2, 4, 6 because you already know you get a good main stat. I don't know. There are some tips out there, but I've been kind of hesitant to do it. I just did it on this rune and kind of messed around. So I'll figure that out later and then probably develop a strategy for reappraising. Okay, next, along with that patch, I think we had World Arena come out, if I'm not mistaken. I'll show you guys. We also have a new arena layout thing. And finally, they added rivals in, so that's really nice. But let's go ahead and talk about World Arena. So I checked out the rewards and stuff like that, and we have some scrolls in here. Everything else didn't really catch my eye because it's just cosmetic things that don't help you at all. So I wasn't really worried about all those cosmetic things, but the scrolls, because you guys know I only have like 4 nat 5s or something like that. I've gotten pretty bad luck with nat 5s, and it kind of makes sense to farm these scrolls to get them, just to help me with getting more nat 5s basically, and skill ups, but mainly nat 5s. So I kind of looked at World Arena. I did some testing a while ago when we had some like events out or whatever, because World Arena has been out for a little while. They've been like changing it and then like fixing it and putting it back out. and I never really enjoyed it when it was out before because it takes a while to do, and I don't really have good monsters. I'm sure I can kind of dive into my box and build things like Tractor, Cali, Copper, etc., etc., but I've never been a really big player, or I've never been big on building as many monsters as you possibly can. I've always tried to work with the fewest monsters possible. Hence, my double Lucian AO and my double mummies. So for my Guardians who finished, I pretty much only used 9 monsters total. 4 for AD, 4 for AO, and then Shimate, so 5 for AO. I also used a different defense for the first 30 minutes, so that one kind of counts, but yeah, I've always tried to keep my monster pool as small as possible, so World Arena is not really a thing that I think I will excel at, because it does help if you have a lot of Nat 5s. Nat 5s are really strong in World Arena, and I don't have those, and I don't really want to build things to do well in World Arena, so I think I need to keep my focus elsewhere. I do think World Arena is pretty much the last thing to do in the game, just because of the nature of it, how difficult it is. You're actually playing another person, and there's a lot of strategy to it, and you will need a lot of monsters. So I think that's true to say, that you will need a lot of monsters. Some people might disagree and say, yeah, you can get into it whenever, but I think it's more efficient if I kind of do the rest of the game first. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing World Arena. And on the topic of farming, which is the main topic that I was going to talk about that I kind of strayed away from, was, are these worth it to farm? I've been kind of thinking no, just because of how long the matches take. You get 30 World Arena wings per day. I have 30 over here, but my webcam's in the way because Com2uS changed the placement of the wings, so it's hiding it. Yeah, I'm not doing them. And you have 30 per day, you gotta get rid of them. It's gonna take at least 30 minutes because each match kind of takes a while. I've heard of a few different strategies that you can do, where you can lose 15 wings, then win 15 wings, or you can press auto. Well, actually, maybe I haven't heard that one, but that's the one that I kind of thought of. Maybe just press auto and hope that you lose 15, win 15. Someone else was saying that you can just pick the same 4 monsters or 5 monsters every single time, make sure you have some backups ready, and then just play it out. But with all those strategies, they're going to take a while. And I think farming runes might just be more worth it, because when you're farming runes, you have a chance for a rune and a mystical scroll. So yeah, World Arena I think is just going to be, it's going to be gathering cobwebs over there. I don't think I'm going to touch it, but that might change in the future if I learn anything new or if I decide to farm those, but that's a lot of work and it's going to take a long time every single day to get rid of those. So yeah, I might just not bother. So that was World Arena. Next on the list, I wanted to update you guys on my Dragons B10 team. No fails yet, and I farmed this a lot in the last 3 weeks. No fails, so that's really awesome. Next, TOA and TOA hard. I did clear it, and I'm not going to update you guys on every single thing that happened because it was very similar to how my recent clears of TOA and TOA hard went. For normal, for the most part, I used a pretty YOLO team. I think all the way through, and then maybe on 100 I had to put Hua in or something like that, and then only a few fails on normal. And then hard, pretty much the same thing. I used my normal auto team, but this time around I used the water homunculus. It wasn't much different from the Brienne team, so I think I'm gonna switch the homunculus over to a fire one, or maybe even a wind one, but I don't think I need, that one hairpiece was sticking out weird, but I don't think I need him for TOA or TOA hard. So very standard how it's usually gone. Few fails here and there. Quite a few fails, I think, like in total maybe 15 to 20. I tried to write them down here, let's see. Maybe I just didn't even bother. But yeah, very smooth. And then here's the big news for TOA and TOA hard. This month is going to be the last month that I do TOA hard videos. I think I'm going to do one more video of Artemil with the water homunculus, and then that's going to be it. That's because TOA hard is just too easy for me. Just like the Trial of Ascension normal videos came to a close, it's time to retire hard. I still have a lot of videos that are out there that might help people in the past, or videos that I've done in the past, where the bosses might still show up. In the future, if there are any interesting floors or difficult floors like the Artemil one, then I will try to do those with a farmable team, maybe with kinda bad runes. But yeah, that's kind of, the news. It's out there. I'm sorry guys, but it's time. So that was TOA and TOA hard. We just have 2 more things before we get into the summons. First, I hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is a very large number of people, so I wanted to give you guys an official thank you in my Path to Decency video. Right now, I'm actually at 10,539. I gained quite a few in the last couple days. I think Shredded Puzzle gave me a shout out, and my G2 and G1 video might have pulled some more people in too. So thank you guys, and then thank you everyone who actually interacts with my videos and comments and who enjoys my videos, and anyone who's been here from the beginning. I appreciate you guys, so thank you again. And then the final thing is that Com2Us put out an ad, I'm sure you guys saw, and it references me, so I thought I'd mention that. That is super awesome. Like, that's the coolest thing, to have the company actually involved with the community, and then I got chosen to be in the ad too, so that was pretty dope. And that wraps up Path to Decency episode 54. So let's go ahead and jump into the summons here. Let's start with Mysticals. I hope I have space because I haven't been having space. Here we go again. I think I got him in the last episode too. How wonderful. Maybe I can build an Orochi team with Lucian because I know that one's kind of popular. And I can skill him up with all those other ninjas. Maybe we can get some arena skill ups too. Hey, no! Isn't that the one that people use for dragons? Dang it. Because I've been working on one of those, but that one's awakened, so it's a little bit more useful. Okay, so those were the Mysticals. Now let's go ahead and get some Bellas over here. Or maybe some Hall of Heroes monsters. In one of my recent videos, I pulled a Light Ninja, and I wasn't playing at the time he was a Hall of Heroes, so I didn't quite know. I thought he was just like, another monster, and people were like, oh, Orange, he was a Hall of Heroes. So then I was like, oh. But, at least I didn't have him. So I don't think I pulled anything good from either of those, and those were all the summons we had, so that was it. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I will catch you guys later.